For those that make over 200K a year, what do you do? Story 1, 240K plus discretionary annual bonus. Michelin-starred private chef left the industry for this one family. They are no one important, no NDAs. They just have a cybersecurity company in the Bay Area, 25 to 40 hours a week. Story 2, airline pilot. Been flying professionally since 1997. Was an aircraft mechanic before that. I grew up at an airport. Was flying before I could legally drive. Unlike some people I know, I love the job. I can't believe I get paid to do it. I own an antique plane, and I fly warbirds for a couple museums doing rides and air shows. I've also been an electrician and electrical contractor. Flying is the best way to make a living I can imagine. Story 3. Photolithography researcher at Intel. Nearly 300K this year. All it took was over a decade of higher education and being in the right place in contact with the right people. I have no idea what I'm doing half the time, LOL, but I'm told nobody actually does. BSc Electrical Engineering 5 years. MSc Computer Engineering 3 years. PhD Semiconductor Physics 4 years. All that, and I had to look up Ohm's law yesterday. Story 4. Electrical engineer. To you young people, you need to change companies. Whenever you feel like you are 1, taking on new roles without your pay increasing significantly, or 2, if you feel ready to take on new roles. You will never keep pace with inflation or get ahead at one employer. Story 5. Voice director for cartoons. Edit. For all the folks sending me DMs and asking for advice about how to break into voice acting, I'm sorry, but I can't help you. I've never been an actor and I don't know how you go about getting signed with an agent or how to break into the industry. The entirety of my job is working with actors in the studio after they've been hired. As for how to get hired in the first place, all I can say is you need to be better than all the other people who are auditioning. Voice acting is an incredibly competitive industry, and very few people make a living doing it. Those who do have a magical combination of amazing pipes, incredible range and character creation skills, and impeccable acting chops. It's a rare combination. There's a good reason you see the same names over and over again in the cartoon VO world. Story 6. I make around 170K, but my wife's target compensation is around 8,700K base plus stock and bonus, which varies. She's a C-level executive at a Fortune 500 company. I'm a software engineer. Story 7. I do not far from it, but last year when our company posted the job opening for our IT infrastructure manager, the salary was posted as 350K. I found myself wishing I'd started my career about 10 years earlier. Story 8 podcast, but I was very early to market and got lucky as well as sticking with it for a long time. Edit. It's the Jordan Harbinger show for those that have asked, and wow, it's been a lot of you. LMK, what you think of the show if you're new, unless you hate it. Then maybe keep that to yourself. Edit 2. When I left the law to do the show, everyone said I was an idiot. Don't let other people's idea of what constitutes a safe career stop you from taking a shot at work you love. Story 9. I decided not to take the job, but I was offered a job 250-300K range, traveling the world watching bulk export ships unload and ensuring that everything gets completed strictly according to contracts. Mostly the job is making sure buyers don't cheat and try and fraudulently lower purchase price. Reasonably low entry requirements, I guess, in terms of formal training for reference. I had about 6-12 months in the industry without college education. Was small additional section of my existing role. Just wanted to post it since it's an interesting out-of-left-field job that doesn't require a degree and isn't IT. Story 10. It goes up and down from year to year, but I've been doing a bit north of 200K for 3 years and might hit 300K in 2024. I am a commercial photographer working mostly in advertising and commercial fashion. It's probably going to keep going up and then realmally slow down in 5-10 years when the industry will be tired, my work. Weird business, but fun. Story 11. Pretend that I make over 200K so that I can sell people coaching advice on how to live their life to make over 200K themselves, therefore achieving my original goal of making over 200K. Satire. Story 12. Landman in the oil and gas industry. I make around 300K a year. I do mostly title work, which is basically researching the history of a piece of property and creating a report that shows everything that ever happened with it. It's a lot of fun. Just crazy high pressure at times because the companies are pretty demanding. Worth it though. Story 13. I don't, but my wife does. ED physician. Great money, but like most ED docs, she was burned out by 35 and then had to deal with COVID and all its insanity. We're saving as much money as possible to retire early and travel around the country in an RV. Edit. Wow, all the erectile dysfunction comments. Story 14. Somehow I make more than 200K doing UX content strategy. I don't understand how it happened, really. and am very lucky. Biggest advantage was learning how to future pace and interview sales conversations by focusing on the problem the company is hiring to solve, then doing some quick mental math about how much money that would be worth to them. What problem are you trying to solve? Usually want to increase conversions from the blog or redesign our site so it's easier to find stuff for our customers. Okay, and what's your average customer lifetime value? So if we were able to increase blog conversions by 5 new leads per month, it would be worth 5x LTV for your company every month, right? Wow, what a surprise. My salary requirement is only a fraction of that amount even if it's higher than anyone else. Create a category of one. Don't try to compete on the same terms everyone else is. Maybe growing up as an undiagnosed ADHD kid who never quite fit in no matter how hard I tried led me to that approach. Story 15 Lawyer. But I've sacrificed a ton of family and personal time to make the dough. Looking back, I regret the time lost. Edit family time and personal time. LOL. Haven't sacrificed family LOL. Story 16. Salaries in America are insane. I'm particularly shocked at the number of nurses in this comment section. Nurses in the UK make well under 30K for the most part. Story 17. Airline pilot here. It's good pay, but I do it because I love it. You'd be amazed how many miserable people making 400K there are in this industry, and still have financial problems, usually the ones that are divorced. Story 18 came here looking for jobs that produce stuff. Excellent reminder that working in mental health is underpaid and underappreciated. I'm working on becoming an electrician and intend to become licensed specialized in solar panels after. Make working mental health my side gig hobby. Sorry people who need a community caseworker. We get paid to help you live with mental illness, addiction, find housing, and feel like a human being and get your basic rights. Story 19 Tech Exec. I'm a CTO at a law firm. I mostly manage other managers-supervisors at this point, set policy, determine strategic direction of tech, etc. I've been here a long time, and I've grown with the firm. They've been really great to me. The thing about lawyers is that good ones make money, aren't slimy at all, and because they charge for their expertise, aren't shy about paying for other people's. Story 20. I make far more than that. However, our income varies from year to year. This year, our total income will hopefully be around 1.2 million after taxes. It's divided into several streams. First and foremost, we own a decently sized company that does trim carpentry. Our projects range from mass-produced homes, basic MDF baseboards and hollow doors, to more high-end finishes in production homes for a higher-end spec, and a little bit of the super high-end custom stuff, home libraries, exotic railings, baseboard, crown molding, etc. The business has its ups and downs, including 2020 where we actually lost a lot of money. But typically I am able to pay myself and wife around 250–500K IR. My wife has a part-time gig as a medical translator, which while lucrative she has been winding down as frankly we do not need the money. Beyond that we have significant traditional investments that yield generous dividends. We also have accumulated a significant amount of income properties, both residential and commercial, which are divided into 2 separate companies, and all are managed by a property management company that we own a 50% stake in. We have a minor silent ownership stake in several construction-related businesses, some of which we receive income from while others are investments we will eventually cash out. We are in our mid-40s and plan to retire within the next year. I certainly didn't start this way. I once was a rookie framer, then finished carpenter driving around the country job to job, living in my pickup truck. My wife grew up in the slum city in Mexico. Story 21. Independent consultant hired gun for the oil and gas upstream industries. I fix broken oil fields and broken wells, usually with high explosives. Contracts vary, but usually ring in at 325 HR. Jobs can last months. Fair compensation for living out in the boonies. Story 22. Sit in meetings. Write reports. Tell folks how to fix very specific problems. Take the blame when things go wrong. Give away the credit when things go right. Story 23. Software engineer. High school dropout. No college degree. Was a musician, barista, and bartender until I was 28. Went to a 6-month coding boot camp. First job out of boot camp was 105K. 8 years later, my total comp is 279K. I work from home live in the PNW. Company is in LA. I average less than 40 hours per week. Story 24. 240K tech, but not coding and in a HCOL area. Hate my life every day. I'm extremely fortunate to make what I'm making, but it's a extremely stressful and demanding job with long hours. Add on the fact that no matter how much you know it's never enough. Ever. Every 3 to 5 years, the newest, hottest tech changes, and you have to understand all of it in depth, which of course is impossible. Then add in the fact that ultimately you're just a meatbag, and the company can't wait until AI or cheap offshore labor can replace you. To top it all off, the older you are, the worse off you are. Age discrimination is heavy. While most other fields find value in years of experience, for tech it's typically a huge negative. Companies feel youth is what brings innovation, not experience. Story 25. Not me, but my dad. He makes about $250K a year, but he does multiple things. He's a data analyst, owns his own small software company, and does some photography on the side. He's pretty awesome IMO. Story 26. Started a lawn care business 10 years ago with a push mower. Now it's commercial and residential have off all winter. Sub-snow removal. Don't ask for days off, just take them. Have 3 guys working for me. Cleared 250 by the 5th year. Story 27. My advice: never be afraid of change. You will be surprised on your value to other companies in different regions doing the same work you perform now. Never let a company take you for granted and make you feel less than you're worth. If they don't see your value, then remove yourself. Don't procrastinate. When you feel you reached a point of no growth, don't be discouraged. Look at it as another chapter in your life, and now it's time to take that experience with you elsewhere. Sometimes going across the country or a different continent can make a big difference financially. If you know you're good enough, and you know you're the best at what you do, then stop holding yourself back. All it takes is a little leap of faith. Trust the process. Story 28. My wife did payroll for several businesses, and she said that dog groomers and nail salon e-workers made as much and sometimes more than attorneys. She couldn't believe their salaries and tips. Story 29. I graduated in accounting and worked the Big Four accounting track for a few years, then 3 more as an internal auditor and financial analyst. Was making about $80K after 6 years in the late 90s. Quit that to start my own eBay reselling business and did that for 8 years until 2008. Made around $100K a year until eBay's commission structure changed in July 2008. My reseller business became unprofitable overnight. At 36, I suddenly had no career, so started my own board game publishing business. Launched my first Kickstarter in 2011 and have done over 50 of them now. Many years in there, just scrapped by making about 50K. Here I am in my early 50s, and since COVID, sales have more than tripled, and I am making well over 200K. Well over. Our most recent Kickstarter ended a few days ago at 748K, hoping for a 1 million project by next year. Those of you in your mid-30s who don't know what to do yet, don't give up hope. Story 30. Meteorite hunter and dealer. Actually, mostly dealer now. The meteorite business isn't typically so highly paid, but I found a niche that has worked out quite well. Story 31. Senior principal aerospace engineer. Mainly just sit in meetings all day and review junior engineers' designs. I'm not management material, so the only remaining step up is director of engineering, and I've got a decade or so to go before that. It is the best job in the world other than astronaut, but I suppose that's an out-of-this-world job. Story 32. Entrepreneur. My husband and I clear over 800K a year. Sound fun? Try 3 years of working 16 to 20-hour days, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, ruining your marriage, family relationships, abandoning friends, and having nannies raise your kids. And most of those people now resent us for our success. Yep, we're rich, and we hate each other. Wouldn't do it again. Story 33. I was a nursing major. Caught a case. Lawyer advised me to switch careers. Did a year in jail. Decided to go into the automotive field. Completed a 3-year program at a local community college. Became a diesel tech for Ford. Made $222,000 last year. En route of hitting 300K this year. Story 34. As usual, I don't think anyone but people in the US can answer this. Cries in 40K yearly. As FS web dev, with 7 YOE Hey EU devs, let's dream about a 200K salary. Story 35. Little of this, little of that. Marketing consultant, own a small VRBO, a rental condo, and an office building, a small salary from my former company, some investment income. It took a long time to get here, but it's nice when a plan comes together. Blessed. Story 36. Physician. Wouldn't recommend though unless you have shadowed plenty and can't see yourself doing anything else. You will have to make sacrifices, most notably, some of the best years of your life you will be studying. I personally love my job and work-life balance, but took a long time to get where I am today, and it's not great for many of my colleagues and friends who have gone into other specialties. Very easy to go into medicine and perhaps down the wrong path and still be miserable. You will be well off, not rich, and good job security. Also, you have to deal with people. They're a-holes in this country, and everyone with access to the internet is a scholar somehow. It's the best and worst time to be a doctor. Story 37 dispatcher at a major U.S. airline. A back-office job that most people don't know about, but one that's still active and real-time compared to most office work. At 4 years in, my base pay is about 140K, but we only are scheduled to work 1750 hours per year via a 5-on, 3-off, 5-on, 5-off schedule. So there are ample opportunities to pick up OT, much of which is paid at double rate. People at the top of the pay scale 11 years that pick up a lot of OT make over 400K quite easily. Story 38. I left a non-profit to join a Silicon Valley tech company. At age 60, doubled my salary to over 200K to do the same work but with greater impact and scale. Am very grateful. Story 39. Pediatrician. Greatest job in the universe. Am currently at work, and my last patient was a 4-year-old who moved the stethoscope from her chest to her forehead so I could listen to her brain. A lot of doctors are miserable, but pediatricians are happy. Story 40. Not me, but husband drives a big rig for Oops. Highest paid trucking job in the industry thanks to a union. He is at about 160K, and he has a pension and 100 free health insurance. Story 41. Police lieutenant in NYC. Base salary is about 150K right now, but will quickly increase to 180K in 2 YRs, and with mandatory OT and some night shifts, I'll be making around 225-240K in 2026. This year, I'm on track to make about 190K. Story 42. I don't, but my dad does. He invests a lot of it. IDK, what in? I just asked him when I was 18, why do we live so tightly if you make that much money? He was helping me with taxes. He said he invests a lot because there will be no retirement by then. They rent a condo because they're in their late 50s and they don't want to have to keep on home repairs. He's a programmer for a 2 medical company and designs apps on the side. They go on vacations a couple times a year. He buys his gadgets. He pays bills, etc. They live pretty modestly, and he pays for and supports my widowed grandmother who never worked, so no pension, no retirement, no nothing. Just lives pretty regularly, and poorish Lowell always has been a modest person that way. Story 43. Licensed plumber and a real estate developer. Each covers the 200K criteria. Edit on request to add location Long Island. NY also, just to sound like it's not as much money as people think. Kids are insanely expensive and worth every penny. Story 44. As someone who has lived in both cities, I can promise you that 85K in St. Louis gets you just as much as 200K in New York. People should focus less on the salary number and more on the cost of living ratio. Otherwise, you're comparing apples and oranges. Story 45. Choose a job in a high cost of living city. Bam. Big pay. Of course, your living expenses will eat you, but you'll have that huge salary to boast about. The flip side of that is, figure out how to live less expensively while working a better job in a better town and live well. Read these books, The Millionaire Next Door and Green with Envy.